Yo, what's good, guys? It's Austin here, or Luna. So today's story time is definitely a pretty interesting one, pretty good one, also pretty scary one in my opinion. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you do, leave a like on the video, and let's jump right into today's story time. So today's story time all takes place when I was 17 years old. Now 17, my YouTube had hit 1 million subs at the point. I was dating somebody at that point, and I had a bunch of just cool friends around me at the time, and I was really having a good time in my life, right? Of course, something had to come along and ruin it. So one day, I'm sitting in my house, 17 years old, working on a video like any other day, and my girlfriend hits me up. She's like, hey, what are you doing today? You want to hang out? I was like, yeah, of course, come over. So my girlfriend comes over to my house. We hang out at my house for about an hour, hour and a half. She hangs out just laying on my bed as I finish up a video. Takes me, like I said, hour and a half. And after that, I'm sitting there just kind of bored, not knowing what to do. So I ask her, I'm like, hey, what do you want to do tonight? And she's like, I don't know, you want to get some food or something? So that's what we do. We go to this place down the street, we grab some food at this restaurant, and after that, we go back to her house, because that night we were planning on sleeping at her house instead of mine. Usually we would crash at my place, but we were feeling like changing it up a bit, so we decided to crash at her house and continue the night there after we got food. So we get back to her house after we go on the date. We get back there, we're sitting in her room watching some Netflix, just, chilling out, not doing a whole lot. Now, I forgot to mention this. I was banned on going live on Instagram at the time. You're probably wondering, Austin, how the hell do you get banned from that? Well, I had two friends of mine pillow fight on IG Live. Yes, pillow fight. You heard that correctly. And it was so brutal of a pillow fight that it got me banned on IG Live. Like, they were hitting each other so hard with these pillows that Instagram deemed it as violent and banned me. Now, nobody was hurt. It wasn't that brutal of a pillow fight. I guess it just looked bad, so I got banned. Now you're probably like, Austin, why the fuck are you telling us this? Why is that important? You'll understand why in a little bit. So a couple hours after I got to my girlfriend's house and we're just chilling there watching Netflix, I went on Instagram Live and clicked live to see if it would let me go live, because usually it would say I was banned, and it worked. It let me go live. And I was like, oh shit, look, I got on IG Live. And she's like, oh shit, you got unbanned? Like, awesome. So at that point, I was already live on Instagram, just laying in her bed. So I did a quick little 5-minute stream. I'd say 800, maybe 900 people showed up. It was pretty cool. I talked to all of them, answered some questions. And my girlfriend's dog at one point was going crazy in the front yard. So I flipped the camera around and filmed him being funny in the front yard. And that was it. And I ended the stream. Didn't think much of it. Didn't think anything could happen from it. And I thought that was it. So I end the live stream. Me and my girlfriend go back to watching Netflix. And 30 minutes later, the whole night changed. So 30 minutes later, we hear a loud knock on the door, on my girlfriend's door. And I look at her and she looks at me. And it was like a pounding sound, like super loud. So I ask her, I'm like, were you expecting people to come over tonight? Like, what's going on? She's like, no, it's probably my dad or something. He must have locked himself out. I'll go check. She goes downstairs. About a minute later, I hear her go, Austin, get down here. So it sounded concerning. So I run downstairs and I look out the front window, and there are, no joke, 10 police cars in her driveway. Not in, but going down her driveway, all around the street. Lots of police cars. And I was like, okay, we just got swatted. No ifs, ands, or buts. Somebody just swatted my girlfriend's house. And I already knew how it happened. I knew it was because I flipped the camera around on Instagram Live and showed my girlfriend's front yard of her house and her dog. It showed a little bit of the neighborhood. I didn't think it would be a problem. I didn't think any hackers were watching that could do that good of a job at tracking me down. But they did. So yeah, I opened the front door to immediately a red dot on my chest from one of the officer's weapons, and he goes, put your hands up. And of course, I put my hands up because I know how getting swatted works. If you don't listen to commands, you could literally lose your life, so I wasn't going to not listen. And me and my girlfriend both had to put our hands up. Nobody else was home, by the way. So me and my girlfriend had to put our hands up, walk over to the officer. He cuffed us both, asked me what my name was, told him who I was. He asked me why I made that phone call, to which I replied and said, what phone call? Because I didn't make one. And he proceeds to tell me that somebody called under my name and that I admitted to selling lots of drugs and that I had a very large amount in my basement for the cops to come seize. First of all, that just sounds like a prank call. Who calls the cops and is like, hey, I'm a drug dealer, come seize all my drugs? Usually drug dealers get busted by other people. No one just calls up and is like, hey, come get all my drugs. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure somebody has called and admitted before, but it just sounded so fake when he told me about it. And he goes, are you messing with me? Come on, you're not the one that just called? And I had to explain to him from start to finish, just exactly what happened and what swatting was. And luckily he knew what it was, so he wasn't like super misunderstanding of it. He believed me. One of the officers there actually recognized me from a previous swatting attempt, and I'd met him before, and he was like, oh yeah, I know this kid. He gets it all the time. And let me just say, thank fuck for that officer, because every time this has happened, he's been there. Like, he always recognizes me. He's like, oh yeah, I know this dude, it's Austin, his name's Luna on YouTube, and he always like saves my ass. All the other officers always believe him, and then I have no problem. And that's exactly what happened this time. Except 5 minutes later, after I explained to all the officers what was going on, my girlfriend's dad pulled up, and he gets out of the car and he's like, what the fuck's going on here? And I had to explain to him. I'm like, oh, like it was a misunderstanding, it was a prank, some YouTube follower of mine did this. And he goes, you put my daughter in harm's way, you can't see her anymore. To which my girlfriend was like, Dad, it's not his fault. Like, he couldn't control this. Like, it was an accident. Don't blame him. And he's like, no, get the fuck out of here now. And yeah, I literally got kicked out of my girlfriend's house after getting swatted because he thought that it was my fault and that I, like, planned this or something. I wasn't exaggerating that, by the way. Like, as I was leaving, he walked up to me and he was like, you have something to do with this, huh? Are you sure it was just an accident? I was like, do you think I did this on purpose? He's like, yeah, I don't know, maybe. I don't know you that well, buddy. And I was like, nope, I wouldn't get your house swatted on purpose and risk someone getting hurt. That'd be fucked up. And he got mad at me because I swore and told me to leave immediately. So yeah, I got kicked out for the house getting swatted and for the swearing. Now, I kind of understand why he did it. I would totally be upset if I were him. But to think that I had something to do with it, like I planned it or something, that's just not cool. Like, I wasn't even aware that he was not home. Like, me and my girlfriend both thought that he was home and he was the one knocking. Like, we thought he locked himself outside doing some yard work or something. We didn't know we were home alone. And, like, we just got swatted on accident. Like, I didn't think that would happen. But yeah, her dad didn't believe me. And it was just a whole shitstorm. I got sent home. The police left with me. And they went back to the station. I went back to my house. I then had to explain to my mom at 17 that I got swatted again at my girlfriend's house because it had just recently happened at my house too, and she was in disbelief. But anyway, it doesn't end there. It gets a whole lot better. They tried to swat her again later that night. Like, my girlfriend was already fucking traumatized from what happened, and then the asshole hacker tried to do it again while I wasn't even there. He called the SWAT team over there again at 2 in the morning. Luckily, a lot of the police officers recognized her address and didn't respond the same way they did the first time. They only brought over like 2 cop cars. And after seeing that nothing was going on, they just quickly checked on her and left. But needless to say, her dad was even more pissed off and sent me a very angry text message that night saying that I better not ever come around him again or there will be consequences. But yeah, I literally was never allowed to go to my girlfriend's house again. She could only come to my house and she could only stay for like 2 hours at a time now because, well, her dad didn't like me very much. And yeah, needless to say, we broke up like a few months later. Not for that reason, but that probably didn't help. But yeah, I just thought this whole story time was insane because I've never been swatted at a girlfriend's house. And it definitely sucked. It was terrible. And moral of the story is, don't do that to people. It's not a funny prank and people could very well end up hurt or worse. So yeah, that's that. But I thought this was a crazy story time. Luckily, in the end, everybody was safe. Everybody was okay. And it never happened to her again after those times. And yeah. But yeah, guys, I thought this was a crazy story time. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below. And subscribe if you're new. I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Peace. They leave me out for the dead, and now they know they're fucked. All my texts are unread.